Welcome to today's podcast. This is your Rubies of Grace host, Rose Inyama. Rubies of Grace podcast promote the principles of love, respect, mutual agreement, integrity, and trust within our diverse relationships. With God's jewels beautifully crafted to radiate His image and light in this world. It is such a pleasure to be sharing this podcast on relationships matter with you. I do hope you can come with me on this journey for us to better our relationships because relationships matter. For the next 5 podcast series, we would endeavor to go through some case studies where we hope to be able to apply practically most of the core relationship concepts that we've presented in our Relationship Matter podcast series. I do hope that you find these case studies inspiring, where you can learn something for yourself or somebody else you might know. And we'll be using fictitious names for these case studies. They are not real people, but they represent real life scenarios that some people might be passing through. Come with me, let's explore. For the first case study, we'll be covering the concept of loss of intimacy. This loss of intimacy could apply to relationships that are romantic, familial, or platonic relationships. Though the extent of intimacy varies amongst these different types of relationship, but it's still very relevant to all these types of relationships. Intimacy or rapport among siblings, friends, parent to child to parent can deteriorate as they consciously, unconsciously, slowly drift apart, causing what was previously an intimate relationship to become distant, and sometimes it becomes very distant and unrecognizable. Today's case study, we will explore together how long-term marriage relationships can drift into emotional and physical disconnection and what can be done to restore closeness again within these relationships. This case study will be looking at a couple, Uri and Anna. They have been married for about 12 years and they have 2 children. And over the last 3 years, they have experienced a decline in their physical and emotional intimacy. Both Uri and Anna feel more like co-parents than romantic partners. Both Uri and Anna work full-time. Uri manages most of the household duties and drives their children to and from various extracurricular activities, while Anna often works overtime to sort out various household bills and financial commitments. What is the issue here? There is a deep erosion of emotional and sexual intimacy, and I want us to analyze the presenting problem together. Uri and Anna report feeling more like roommates than romantic partners. Over the past 3 years, they both agreed to the following concerns. Their daily interaction revolve around parenting, logistics, and work. This routine has eroded what was blissful times together, and now both Uri and Anna feel disconnected, and they do not know how to fix it. Emotional intimacy among them is low. Here, Uri and Anna have minimal, meaningful conversations. They have few shared hobbies. Perhaps they have non-existent emotional check-ins. Sexual intimacy has declined significantly. They spend several months in the same house or the same room without any sexual contact. Uri feels unseen and emotionally unsupported, while Anna feels criticized and underappreciated. They rarely argue about any issues because they hardly hold any conversations. You could think it's a peaceful family because there's no argument. There could also be couples who argue so much that they avoid having conversations as they struggle to hold any meaningful conversation. It could go either way. Either way, there has been a decline in effective communication in their relationships. They do not connect as friends. So, can I ask you, what do you reckon could be some possible underlying factors contributing to the loss of intimacy in this relationship. Try and visualize the process of erosion. Erosion is wearing away caused by natural forces like water, wind, ice, and gravity. And so, as we consider some questions that will help us analyze these case studies, think about erosion. It's a gradual process, it happens over time, it doesn't happen instantaneously. The first question that would help us to analyze this is what life stressors, and I give you examples, parenting, work, could be contributing to Ure and Anna's loss of intimacy. Life stressors like parenting, work, and more can put a serious strain on intimate relationships. These stressors often reduce emotional availability. As we become super busy people, we can be tired from our busy schedules, which can often make us feel like we're on the edge without us even realizing this. Stressors can amplify misunderstandings if not managed well. Stressors can also increase conflict. We'll look at parenting challenges. Raising children can place emotional and logistical demands on individuals in the relationship, especially if parenting styles or expectations differ among them. There are challenges that could arise from sleep deprivation depending on the ages of the children or the child. There could be increased financial costs associated with paying fees for school or different extracurricular activities, or even for clothing, for toys, for holidays, etc. Individuals may often have disagreements over discipline or education, and this can create tension within their relationships. That's about parenting. What about the work related stress? Both Ure and Nna work full time. Nna still picks up extra shifts, not because he wants to be a workaholic, but because he wants to make sure extra household bills and financial commitments of the family are sorted. Long hours, job insecurity, or high pressure environments can drain energy and make people feel tired. Even Superman or Superwoman gets tired and feels drained or worn out sometimes. Work stress often leads to inability or withdrawal at home, irritability, inability to um, commit to some things or even to help out with some things, making people very irritable as well because of the stresses associated with their works. What about the financial pressure? Money palaver, some people might call it. Troubles, worries associated with finances can easily cause huge strain on individuals. This can be exacerbated if there are debts, if there are unpaid bills, or perhaps if the individuals have different spending habits among them. Economic strains such as the high cost of living can exacerbate existing power imbalances of, well, what may have been salient or dormant resentments among them. What about health issues? Where there are chronic illnesses, mental health struggles, or caring for aging relatives can limit physical and emotional availability. Partners can feel overwhelmed or even isolated within that relationship. Major life transitions. So, in some relationships, moving or changing jobs, immigration or loss, death, miscarriage can disrupt routines and emotional stability. Transitions must be mutually acknowledged and often require negotiation of roles and support. The second question I would like us to consider is this. How do these stressors, we've talked about parenting, we talked about work and life, we talked about major transitions, health issues, and so on, the finances as well. How do these stressors that we've mentioned impact on intimacy? How do these stressors that we've mentioned impact on intimacy? What are your thoughts? There is a decrease in emotional availability. I hope you can agree with me. Stress can make partners less patient, like we've mentioned before. It can make them irritable. It can even make them unavailable or unable to help out in certain ways that previously they used to. It can reduce their communication and make people more reactive because they feel that they're on the edge, even without realizing it. Conflict can escalate. Small irritations can become big fights when stress is high. There can be decline in physical intimacy. Fatigue and tension reduce desire and closeness. Increase in misunderstandings. Under stress, people often misread each other's intentions or words. Question 3. How can we manage these life stressors to protect the relationship? What are your thoughts? Prioritize open communication about the stresses that you're experiencing. That does help. Set boundaries to preserve couple time and emotional connection. Share responsibilities fairly, not necessarily equally, adjusting as needed. Practice self-care individually and also as a couple. Seek outside support when you feel overwhelmed. Family support can help. Even joining support groups in the community can help. And some people might benefit from going through therapy if needed. Using this case study of Ure and Anna, can you reflect on the current status of your own relationship? Ure and Anna both care about each other. They are not enemies, but they have let these life stressors get to them. Remember, we talked about erosion. Erosion does not occur in a day. It's a process that gradually occurs over time. It's gradual and might not be noticed until the damage has been done. I would like to suggest that you consider using the stress impact list that we're going to look into now to help you identify how life stressors might be affecting your own relationship. You can use this stress impact checklist to reflect on specific areas where stress could be impacting on communication, on intimacy, and connection within your relationship. The stress impact checklist for intimate relationships can help you to reflect and review the direct as well as the indirect impact of the stressors on aspects of your relationships, such as your communication, your physical intimacy, your emotional availability, your self-care, your support and connection, as well as conflict resolution. Let's look at some of the questions that are covered within the stress impact checklist. Looking at communication. Do you argue more frequently over smaller things? Do you feel misunderstood or unheard by your partner, your friend, your spouse, your sibling, your parents? Do you avoid discussing important topics to keep the peace? What about physical intimacy? Has your physical affection, such as touching, hugging, kissing, sex, decreased in degree and frequency? Do you feel less interested in being close physically with your partner or your spouse? Do you notice any tension or awkwardness around intimacy? It can be eroding slowly if you don't pay attention. Do you feel reluctant to stay close to your spouse? Do you make excuses or prefer to do other things than to be intimate with your spouse? If you're honest with yourself and can answer these questions either alone or in the company of your spouse or your friend, it may help you to notice the impact stress may have been having or your physical availability or physical availability. We'll talk about emotional availability next. Do you find it hard to express your feelings or needs to your spouse? Is it a difficult thing for you? Do you or your spouse seem distant or withdrawn emotionally from each other? Do you feel alone or lonely even when your spouse is at home? Do you have fewer meaningful conversations than before with your spouse? This is the emotional availability checklist. What do you score, or what does that look like for you within your relationship? What about support and connection? Do you feel unsupported or alone in dealing with life stressors? Do you feel you're doing it alone? Do you and your spouse spend less quality time together? Do you spend more time as individuals in your own company? I know there's time for me time, but is every time me time for you or alone time? Is it by choice or because you lack support and connection? Let's be honest. Do you make time to celebrate each other's successes or comfort each other when they're feeling low? Now we look at self-care. Are you neglecting your own well-being and needs? Does your spouse seem overwhelmed and not taking time for their own self-care? Do you make time to have relaxing or enjoyable activities together? Are you allowing external stressors to get to you? Is your parenting responsibilities causing tension between you and your spouse? Is your work or career stress spilling over into your relationship? Could immediate financial worries be contributing to the conflict in your relationship? Are extended family or cultural expectations a possible cause of pressure and stress in your relationship? Is a health issue, whether physical or mental, impacting your connection? Do conflicts escalate quickly and you struggle to resolve them due to the immediate stressors? During and after arguments, does either one of you or both of you withdraw such that the conflict is unresolved? Do you just sweep things under the carpet? Do you struggle to find compromises or solutions together? Does your conversations always end up in an argument? Do you feel very irritable and appear to always be on the edge? And you snap, shout, curse at the slightest confrontation? That is a warning sign. That's a trigger alert. Do you or your spouse bicker over petty or trivial matters? Things that are so small that used to be unnoticed or a bit irrelevant, but now you're turning it into a mountain. Having looked at this checklist, and I hope you've reflected on your answers that you provided to these questions, can you identify the most pressing stressor and their effect on your relationships? Can you openly discuss and agree on ways to support each other and reduce stress and navigate this season together with your partner or your spouse? Will you consider stress management strategies together, which will help you to reduce the tension, strengthen the connection you have, and improve your resilience together as a family? There are so many things you can do to improve the way stresses get to you, to reduce the impact it has on you and what the impact is on your relationship. And I do hope you can talk about this openly with your spouse so that you can improve yourself and improve your relationship. A huge tip to consider in restoring intimacy is to schedule intimacy and rekindle emotional connection. You schedule it, make time, be intentional to plan it into your schedule. It does help to restore what is lost or what is missing. I do hope that today's podcast will ignite in you a desire to nurture your relationship and to consider areas where you need to make a change, where you need to adapt or perhaps add more juice, which is to add vigor, power, energy, or interest and excitement. Tune in for more. Until next time, do your best because relationships matter.